Multi-exclusive dimensional being card with another exclusive. Today's video is going to be about crystals, gemstones, and of course, crystal balls. Now, we need to understand and understand something. These are just tools that we use to basically inherit and harness energies. Now, these tools that you're looking at, these tools came from above. So this is the whole concept of utilizing tools, structure, object, and of course the earth element. Because whatever goes up, gotta come down. And of course you heard the term sticks and stones may break them bones, but words will never hurt. Well, actually, whatever you're channeling, whatever's coming out of your mouth, whatever you're coming out of your lips, whatever's coming out of these lips, are being directed towards these crystals and gemstones. So that goes to show whatever energetic form, energetic vibe that you're in, this is basically what the crystals and gemstones is basically picking up and channeling. So these words actually can hurt you in some way, shape, or form. Also, when we're talking about these crystals and gemstones, spirits inhabit these things, these bodies, these traits. So of course, they take a shape and form. They go inside these bones. They go inside these skeletons. They go inside these structures. And of course, they develop. So of course, you may not be able to actually see this, but on a deep metaphysical perspective, this is what it's being used for, behind the scenes. And also another thing too, when you're doing crystal balls, this is someone actually looking inside the crystal ball and staring at it, and of course giving it attention, giving it growth. So where attention goes, energy flows. So of course our body is made up of all kind of elements. Of course, we also got spirits within us, which is our children's. That's also being directed and also given the ability to see things. That's the whole purpose of teamwork make the dream work. So of course, if we have a bunch of spirits actually traveling and moving and having movement within us, this is like a cycle. This is like a water. This is like a wave. This is like a spiral that's spinning constantly. Being able to actually see and vision and utilize insight on perspectives as far as what they like and what they dislike. And also, of course, distaste. But at the end of the day, we all have our own perspectives. We all have our own way of going about things. Just like how you have the Bible. You have certain people that utilize the Bible to look at it and read at it and things of that nature. Same shit, divination. But now when we're talking about crystal balls, this is also a form of divination, because especially if you're not utilizing the transits, which is the stars, which is the energies that's already going to basically play out to perspectives. Now what happens is you're taking all the added emphasis and substances and you're basically directing it towards the crystal ball. Now when it's being directed towards the crystal ball, all information is basically starting to become dense and down in density. So now that means you got to think hard about things. That means you got to pretty much try to utilize your focus on giving people the right perception or the right concept about going about how their life or how these circumstances and situations down the line would be. Now this can play out into good and bad, because if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to utilize things from all angles, you're going to be giving them one perspective. And when you give them one perspective, that means they're going to believe into that perspective because of course, knowing that you are the reader and you are the fortune teller, you are dictating and basically directing them into a space, into a feeling, into an emotion, which get derived basically when something is being pushed out, just like how a child's being pushed out of the mother's belly. Now, of course, the person's mind and feelings and emotions is basically being directed towards what's being coming down later down the line as far as how they're going to present themselves and what's going to be here to come. So now teamwork made the dream work. So if you utilize and giving them wrong information and sending them towards divination perspectives, and these things play out or don't play out into their perspective and they roll, this is how you get blood on your motherfucking hands for being a fortune teller. That's why it's so very important to basically have right frequencies, have right vibrations, have right energies when you're getting into crystal ball readings, because it's so important to make sure that you are in the right vortex. This way, spirits that's actually vibing and loving that experience that they basically picking up and inheriting, they can basically go inside this shit. So also, another thing too, especially with crystal balls and stuff, you can also take this into perspective. Now, of course, you got the red, which is red represents passion, intent, motivation. So, of course, if you don't have a lot of passion, you don't have a lot of intent, you don't have a lot of motivation to basically direct you, what you would do is you would pretty much talk to this and program it to basically make it work out to your favors. Now, listen, gray represents structure, the ground you walk on, where you put your feet at. So, of course, when you channel that shit, you will be channeling practicality. You will be channeling consistency. You will be channeling these energies. Now, purple is very, very highly important because purple represents your pleasures, your desires, the way you go deep into things. So, of course, if you want to add pleasure in your life, you will program this crystal and basically have it bring pleasure towards you. You can have many pleasures, but as long as you're in the right frequency, the right vibration, the right energy, then things will play out into your perspective. Also, you also got a magic wand, which you can utilize the colors and the gemstones on it, which green represents growth. So if you want to bring growth in your life, you would basically program these green gemstones. But of course, most importantly, you got to charge this shit. Charging it is very important because keeping it around too much heat and too much light, it pretty much brings communication and misconceptions for as far as like keeping it outside. Like too much light can blindside things, so that's why it's very important to have an equilibrium. If you are going to charge these crystals and put them outside where the sun is at, yeah, let them get sun, and of course, most importantly, let them charge up. And when you really want to actually channel the right energies, what you should do is when the moon is out, see, the moon is the mother, that's the macabre, that's the feelings and emotions. Now the moon is after water, you know, that becomes air, and of course that becomes earth. So of course the mother is going to grant you all the fruits and all the labors. The mother is basically carrying you. So of course, if you are a gift and you're basically being birthed out, the mother is going to birth you out in many ways, many shapes, many forms. Because of course that's the whole purpose of releasing. So when you do charge your crystals up, have them outside so they can get moon energy. Now, you have to program these crystals. You have to talk to these crystals, especially when you do your meditation and you go within yourself. You can utilize these energies. And of course, you would utilize blue for communication. You would utilize gray for more structure. And of course, you utilize black for unconscious, subconscious, behind the scenes. So this will basically tap you into that vortex. And of course, you got to be in the right energetic space, energetic force, to be able to inherit these traits or basically bring these things into your life. And that basically takes us into this whole perspective. That's why colors are very important. Stones are very important, especially when you got jewelry and things of that nature, for me. That basically brings attention. And of course, attention goes where energy flows. So of course, a spirit is going to see that. A spirit is going to basically dive into that. A spirit is going to go towards that. Gold is very influential. So of course you see that around somebody's neck, you see that around somebody's wrist. Of course, people. That's why of course people go hard for these things. Of course, people put themselves in circumstances and situations to have people, feel like everybody should get a chain, everybody should get jewelry. But of course, this is the whole perspective of having power around your neck. And of course, that's why these things can play out in good matters or bad matters, depending on how you present it. But that's how these tools are being used in your life on a day-to-day basis. See, also certain tools can be used against you too, like for instance your cell phone. Now your cell phone, you're not programming your cell phone can program you. Feel me? It can box you in. And of course it's basically dark, so the cell phone is black. So of course if it's black, that means it's unconscious, unseen, unwanted. So with that being said, you're going to be in a perspective of not being seen, because why? Someone is directing their energy towards a black substance. So anything with black means unseen. So that means they're not seen in the world. So you're giving all your attention and all your energies to like pretty much something dark, and it's basically harnessing you. And the more time and energy you give towards that being, is gonna pretty much digest all your energy. So that's why it's very important to also be aware of the colors that you put on, the colors that you wear, especially if you're not programming these colors. These colors can be used against you. Feel me? Like for instance, if you got brown represents stagnation. So if you got a brown couch, you're going to get lazy on that couch, because brown represents like a branch of a tree. So if that branch is basically staying stagnated, not moving, it's going to basically stay in one spot, and it's going to collect dust and dirt. And of course, if something is not moving, you're going to develop frustration. And of course, you're going to be all work and no play. But of course, if you ain't got a little bit of play on the side, then things is not going to play onto your perspective. You're going to be just a fucking rock. You ain't going to be able to move. And that's basically dealing with earth. So that's why it's important to basically use these things and not get stepped on or walked on. So it's very important to basically know what you're doing, especially knowing what colors that you're going to be presenting, what stones that you should be using on certain days. Because if truth and matters, if you're not using the right stones and you're not channeling the right energy, what can happen is things can basically get out of control. Things can get out of hand. That's why it's important to basically establish a connection with these gemstones. Have a relationship with them, talk to them, connect with them. Because for me, it's already giving you it's already giving off traits on how it's presenting itself to you. Now you supposed to be the father, the mother. You supposed to be the person that's in charge to have the responsibility to take care of these gemstones and give it love, give it attention, but the right attention. This way, it can basically be a 50-50, and it won't be on the circumstances situation of you just buying gemstones or crystals and not using these shits. These shits gonna basically be using you and attacking you in ways that you wouldn't really even imagine. Almost to the point that you think you're gonna be at war with yourself, and you not knowing that these are tools, these are objects, and of course, spirit takes all shapes and forms. So of course, if the spirit is trying to get your attention, if spirits is basically trying to derive and basically be into your spectrum, of course, knowing that you get attacked by millions and billions and trillions of spirits every day, if you don't know what the fuck is going on, then that's what can happen. Also to the point where you could be wearing a cross and shit on your neck and shit. Now, cross represents motherfucking Jesus Christ, right? Now, these are what the Catholic motherfuckers pretty much created and presented. So if you have a cross around your neck, which you're pretty much not understanding that you're wearing this shit on your neck. So what you're presenting on your neck, and basically what you have on your neck, and what you basically worshiping on your neck, is some demonic ass shit. Some circumstances, situations of trials, tribulations, and of course, you're pretty much inviting suffering in your life. And of course, spirits that's familiar with that, spirits that worship Jesus Christ, spirits that died for this person that they never knew and shit, spirits that are trapped here. What they're going to basically be doing is seeing that you get wearing that shit. And of course, they're going to basically go into that shit. And now, boom, now they're going to start to live within that realm of reality that you're presenting out there outside for them. And now they're going to create circumstances and situations for you to have a Jesus Christ moment on the cross. And you don't want to have a Jesus Christ moment on the motherfucking cross. So be very careful what you putting on your motherfucking body. Be careful what you putting in your presence. Also, be careful the fucking Jesus Christ figures and symbols that you put on your motherfucking walls, because you can be inviting spirits in your house. And of course, you could be doing shit and being possessed in fucking ways where, these things can take you over and put you in circumstances and situations of being all over the fucking place. So it's very important to basically know what the fuck you're doing. Know that these tools hold weight, because symbols is very powerful. You could look at the cross. See how when you go to a church, you look at the cross, the first thing that come to mind, oh, how he died on that cross. First thing that come to mind, oh, how he got slaughtered on that motherfucking cross. We just using prime examples of things. But of course, this is basically what you're feeding your psyche. And what you're feeding your psyche is what you're creating into your realm of reality. Now, you may not die on the cross like how he did. You may not suffer how he did. But a circumstance or situation can play out into your life as to where things might play into that perspective, where you may go through trials and tribulations into areas of your life that you pretty much don't want to experience. And of course, you may be blaming God or blaming other people in your life, but of course, it's just the little things, because you're not taking spiritual responsibilities of things that you're inviting in your fucking house. Also symbols and also colors and shit that you're not utilizing. That's why you need to program shit, because if you're not programming shit in your house, your household, other spirits can basically come into your household, take that bitch over, and do whatever the fuck you want to do to it. So yeah, be very, very motherfucking careful of what the fuck you inviting in your motherfucking house. Real shit, I love y'all.